What's up, y'all? Allie here, Richard here. If you're watching this video and you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to go hit that subscribe button to stay tapped in with Road Trippin' all season long. You don't want to miss what we have in store. So subscribe, hit that notification bell, tell a friend to tell a friend. Road Trippin' is here. We're taking over.
Stop blaming us for what Perk says.
Let me have a moment to give Jaylen Brown his flowers and why he should be leading for his MVP conversation. First of all, to start this season, we talk about Jaylen Brown. We thought the Celtics were going to be tanking. It was questions whether or not should they move on from Jaylen Brown because Jason Tatum was being out. Jaylen Brown is the best two-way player in the game of basketball. No other player is doing what he's doing. He's top 5 in scoring. He's top 5 in defense, in opponent's field goal percentage. And on top of that, it reminds me of when Russell Westbrook won MVP. When Russell Westbrook won MVP in Oklahoma, but it's a different situation because KD bounced and went to Golden State, but everybody thought that they were going to be dead. Everybody thought that OKC were going to be dead. Russell Westbrook said, hold on, everybody keep a cool booty. I'm going to go out here and average this 30-point triple-double. I'm going to keep this organization relevant. I'm going to ball out. I'm going to have this team in the postseason. This is Jaylen Brown doing this times 10. The fact that they're sitting at the number 2 spot and really considered legit title contenders and the way that he has those guys bought in, they trust that motherfucker. And I'm just looking at overall, like Jaylen Brown to win the MVP in a Celtic uniform with the accolades that he already have, we're going to start having a different type of conversation. We're going to have a different type of conversation because now all of a sudden he leapfrogs a lot of motherfuckers that didn't wear their uniform. And a lot of people, and I'm not talking about Jason Tatum. I'm talking about other greats, KG, Paul, if you want to talk about whoever else, maybe Kevin McHale, because when it comes down to the history of the Boston Celtics, name me a player that has won. They didn't have the award back then, but you talk about conference MVP, conference finals MVP, finals MVP, NBA champion. You back door and get an MVP, huh?
He doesn't have a gold medal.
He'll have one next year.
Man, you fuck around and get this MVP award. I mean,
no, he might. Yes. That's the thing. The thing about the Celtics, to your point, you got to be great for 10 years and accomplish a lot to be a Celtic great.
Oh yeah,
10 plus years at least. That's the minimum. You have to have won championships, MVPs, finals MVPs. That's the only way to be a Celtic great. If you look at just his career right now, he could go to 25 different franchises and be one of the top players of all time for their franchise. 25 different ones. The only ones would be like Lakers, Dallas, Cleveland. Like that's how great his career has been thus far. Like, and so you're right. If he continues another couple more years, like he probably already passed Paul Pierce, if we're being honest. Now, Paul Pierce played longer, but he's already passed Paul Pierce. The amount of conference finals, they both have one championship. They both have one finals MVP, right? So Paul, I would phrase that. Paul's probably got a little bit more on him, right? Just because of the longevity, right. More all-star games. Like, I'm not going to disrespect, him, but it's like, he's getting there. He's in the conversation of those players now. Yep. Right, and as is Jason Tatum, in my opinion, even without the accolades, because he's carried so much.
Where do you think that he's grown the most this year? Perk, where do you think he took a leap?
I think more so his offensive game, like having the complete package. We got to remember 2 or 3 years ago, it was memes going around, video circulating about how Jaylen Brown didn't have a left hand, like he couldn't dribble left. Hold on. I know, Richard, I'm not saying it was me, but you always making these faces. I'm saying he has worked on his game. And so when you ask me that, Allie, he has become an elite 3-level scorer. He could get to the rack. He has a hell of a mid-range. He can operate out of the low post or the elbow action. He can shoot the tray ball at a high clip. I believe he's averaging a career high. I think he might be shooting close to 40% from the three and a little over 50 or close to 50% from the field. So I think that leap more so than anything, because last thing I'm gonna say, remember, a lot of people were mad because Jason Tatum averaged more points than him when they won the championship, but it was his effect that he had on the game. Jaylen Brown is the reason that Dallas traded Luka.
That's the big thing that Joe Mazzulla was talking about the other day too, the leadership aspect of empowering others. And I think that's the thing too, when you listen to things that Jaylen Brown says, despite how great the Celtics are at the number 2 team, when everyone thought it was going to be a gap year, et cetera, his ability to lead and bring those around him with him has been like the one thing that.
So Brad Stevens,
Yep.
This was when he was I believe he was the head coach. This was years ago. And Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown were kind of still coming up. I think, they were getting to that space where they were going to be the 2 guys. And it's probably about 4 years ago. And I was like, okay, so what's the next step for these guys? And he said, Brad Stevens says the next step for them is leadership. Mm-hmm. So as an organization, we're bringing them separate into meetings. We're having conversations. Our goal now for these 2 guys, because we see that they are those dudes, is how do we empower them to be leaders? Because that has to be taught. Some leaders understand it, but there are even great leaders learn things. So then the Celtics organization put that in front of them as, hey, you guys are leaders. What time do you want, practice? Hey, this is one of the things that we're kind of going on with the team. How's the locker room? So Brad Stevens says, like, we have been focused on leadership versus like, hey, they need to work on X part of their game. That they're like, these dudes are going to be them. So we've been doing that as an organization. So 5 years later, to see them in leadership roles the way they are, like, this has all been, it's very San Antonio-esque, it's OKC-esque. If you watch this, these guys have been Celtics the whole time, and it's been awesome.